Today on Immunity Group Australia's podcast, we have a very special guest from America. Tamara Hubbard is an author, psychologist, and a food allergy parent. Her book is the latest craze in the food allergy community globally. It is called May Contain Anxiety, Managing the Overwhelm of Parenting Children with Food Allergies. It was a conversation starter for me across to Washington, D.C. With another food allergy mom who was sitting next to me and said, I saw what you're reading. Are you a food allergy parent? So I would recommend everybody to grab a copy of her book right now. But first, let's hear from the source. Tamara, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Your book is not just an ordinary book. It's actually published by Johns Hopkins Press. How did you publish this book? Where did this inspiration come from? And I would love to hear, how does a psychologist, a clinical licensed professional counselor, and family therapist become a leading author in this space?
Yeah, well, not easily, I'll tell you that. So the inspiration for all this work in the allergy field came from the fact that I have a teenager now who has a peanut allergy. So I live this world as a parent, not just a therapist and family therapist doing this work. But so initially I started off putting out content on social media and on my own website, foodallergycounselor.com, to help bridge the gap. Years ago, there really wasn't any content out there focusing on the food allergy, mental health, and anxiety piece. Because I'm a trained family therapist, I like to work with the whole family system and the parent-child relationship and how parental anxiety can impact our kids with the food allergies as well. So in 2021, a friend made a suggestion to write a book, and I thought, well, I have no idea what that entails. Let me take a look. And I did. And next thing I know, I had a literary agent who then was able to get a couple of deals, one of which was with Johns Hopkins University Press. And that's who published my book, which is a great fit, actually, because it straddles medical, mental health, parenting, self-help. And so Hopkins Press, is a great publisher for such a book. So
I'm an academic and author myself, and when I was reading your book, what I found it very interesting, actually, it has different types of audiences, which the book is actually directed to. It almost can be a resource, in my opinion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, to fellow therapists as well, because you go into deeper into even the theories, and you really are guiding both the parents, but also your colleagues. Tell me a little bit first about that collegial support in that space. Does it exist in the first place? And just can you tell us something about it?
Yeah, so you're 100% correct. And I've gotten that feedback from the point of, starting to write the book all the way to the book being out now. It's written in a tone as if I'm sitting with somebody just sort of in an office as a therapist, talking with them casually. But it's filled with, like you said, all evidence-based information based on current food allergy research, and then acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, which is a theory that some of us therapists will use, kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy, but we approach it just slightly differently. And so it has all of that important evidence-based stuff, but it's written in a real relatable, conversational tone. To your point, I have had allergists tell me, and fellow therapists, dietitians, other clinicians who work with this community say it's been a useful resource, not only for them to recommend to families, but also for them to get a better insight into what these families are grappling with emotionally, the dynamics that are really hard and challenging to work through, beyond just what we see in the data, right? Like the process stuff, the feeling stuff. And then they're able to use that language to talk about all this stuff with their patients and patient families. The other piece of my work, in addition to working directly with patients and parents, is I've been helping to build the food allergy counseling community and niche here in the States and beyond. So I do have quite a strong network of fellow therapists in this niche doing this work, which is wonderful. But it's a passion of mine to help build this niche so we can have as many therapists out there supporting this community.
As a food allergy parent myself, especially once I started oral immunotherapy 2 years ago, you really experience all sorts of emotions. And now working daily with food allergy parents in our community, both in the NGO and in other spaces, advocating for food allergy families, really in Australia and globally. We really don't realize what kind of emotions come out of ourselves. Firstly, when we become food allergy parents, but also when we try and do something about it. Is it normal, inverted commas, for parents to learn about themselves before sort of dealing with any issue in this space? Or, why do parents go through these sort of emotions they never experienced before as individuals when they start to tackle different aspects of food allergy life?
I wouldn't say is it normal to have these feelings? Yes, 100%. Is it normal to explore them and process them and create strategies and tools to manage them? I wish it was more normal. I wish it was a part of the allergy parenting process, or when a family receives a diagnosis, I would really love that support for the parents up front, because again, how the parents approach this sets the stage for how kids are going to approach life with food allergies. We set the narrative, we set the tone, we set the beliefs and thoughts about it. But all of the feelings that we have where we're fearful and scared about parenting a child with food allergies makes total sense, because as parents, we're hardwired to protect our kids. And so living with a food allergy feels unsafe, uncertain, not secure. And there's a lack of safety there and a lack of control. And so, of course, that's going to trigger anxiety and fear and overwhelm in not all parents. Some parents navigate the diagnosis and the adjustment pretty beautifully. And maybe at some point in a later age and stage, they might struggle with more anxiety and challenge and overwhelm. But some feel that right from the get-go. It's just very hard. And so I would love to see that being much more of an educational component, teaching families how to live with these food allergies, build the skills to do that, have the mindset to manage the fear and living fully, which is one of the reasons why I wrote that book. Again, as a family therapist, my degree is in marriage and family therapy. And so I wanted to come at this as a way of helping the parents help themselves with these feelings so that they could help their kids. And there's a lot of research out there that shows that, working directly with parents on anxiety, whether it's their own anxiety and or the child's anxiety, can be really beneficial for the parent, the child, and the whole family system. So that's why I wrote this book.
I love your expression, Allergy Parenting Club. Can you tell us how would you define that, and how do you define it in the book, and what does it mean for you?
Allergy Parenting Club is like, the club that many of us didn't want to be in. We're maybe scared that we might become part of and really hoped we wouldn't become part of. And then we became part of it after we received the diagnosis of food allergies, eczema, any of the, the atopic allergic diagnoses. I mean, we're all part of this club that I think most of us would rather not be in. And some of us get to leave early when our child, grows out of their diagnosis, and others have a lifetime membership to this club that we don't want to be a part of. But part of the work that I do is reminding everybody about compassion and self-compassion. And one component of compassion and self-compassion is common humanity, or knowing that we're not alone in this, that there are many other people out there navigating the same emotional waves, that are feeling and struggling with the same kind of thoughts. And so I wanted to sort of give a real easy label for who we are, what that is, and that you're not alone to parents who are reading this.
What is quite striking in a lot of conversations which I had with our community members is Food Allergy Parenting Club actually redefines your social, emotional relationships with everybody, including one's extended family members.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, everybody can be in the club. It's anyone who is touched by or loves somebody with a food allergy, or they themselves has a food allergy. Like, they might not be part of the Allergy Parenting Club if they themselves have the food allergy, but they're part of the allergy community and allergy club. So yeah, it was just sort of a term that kind of, as I was writing this, came off and went, yeah, this makes sense I'm not into labeling. I don't love labeling things, but I felt like it was just sort of a community term that we could all say, I'm part of that club and I didn't necessarily want to be, and but here we are, and what are we going to do about it?
One of the most practical aspects of your book, which I personally found, is you give examples of mindset exercises. Many of
Yeah.
our listeners would never have heard of that. Would you mind maybe simplifying it, sort of why are mindset exercises important? What are they in the first place? And how could they help anyone in this space?
Yeah. Yeah. So are you talking about more of like the common mindsets we have after diagnosis, or sort of the things we can do to interact with our thoughts differently?
The second part, yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. I just wanted to clarify. So yeah, I mean, the reality is it would be great if we had a button to turn off all the thoughts and emotions we didn't want to feel. I mean, I would, for one, sign up for that in a heartbeat. But we don't. We can't control the thoughts and feelings that we have. And so one of the things I like to do is to encourage people. So one strategy is turning your what if thoughts into if then thoughts, right? So it takes it from this rumination, swirling, anxious thought kind of cycle of what if this happens, and what if he has an allergic reaction, and what if we, go out to eat and the food's not safe, to a more action-based strategy. Well, if that happens, then we'll do X, Y, and Z. We'll use our epinephrine, device. We'll leave the restaurant. We'll try a different restaurant, right? So it gives our families some strategies of what they can do to influence outcomes, to change the direction, to do something that's going to help keep them safe versus sitting in what the analogy I like to use, or the metaphor I like to use, is when we're anxious, it can feel like one of those snow globes that you shake up maybe at the holidays, and like, oh, the snow just kind of like swirls around. Our thoughts kind of feel that way, and it's really hard to sort of settle and figure our way forward. Well, changing that what if thought to an if then thought helps us be able to do that. Let that snow settle, get back to the thinking mind, and figure out a plan forward on how to navigate, even if things don't go well in the way we want to.
Is that almost like a fire drill, of like a exit map of a building in case of a fire, almost like planning ahead?
I mean, it could be. One of the things that helps with anxiety management is planning and preparing ahead of time. It takes away that unpredictability. It adds more confidence in your own capabilities of navigating things. So in a way, yeah, it is like that, where it steps over into more sort of what I call unhelpful anxiety, because anxiety can be a helpful tool. It helps us stay safe, prepare, and plan. It's what helps us look across, back and forth before we cross the street to make sure that we're safe to cross the street. It's what reminds us to bring our epinephrine with us when we go out. But it can cross over into unhelpful, where now, we're kind of ruminating over every little thing. We're not using that map forward, that exit plan. We're just sort of staying stuck and going, oh my gosh, what if this happens? And what if that happens?
When you were writing the book, and as a fellow author in the politics space, I find that, once you start writing, especially about things which are personal, like a conflict zone, for example, it does wake up certain things, emotions in your own head. As an author and a food allergy parent, how difficult was to put this on paper for you personally?
Yeah, it was difficult. The writing process alone, and writing this book on this topic brought up a lot of imposterism, feelings of imposterism. For that was the first thing, is like, who am I to write this book? Okay, I'm considered an expert in the field, but I'm also just an allergy parent who's going through the same kind of emotions and feelings as the people who are reading the book. So it made me sort of feel like, who am I to write this book? But yeah, as I was writing it, it brought up a lot of stuff for me. It brought up stuff where maybe I'm sometimes better at helping other people than using these strategies myself as an allergy parent, right? Oh, hey, I probably should focus a little more on this. I'm focusing on helping everyone else through it. Let's turn that to my family. It brought back, again, in the introduction chapter, I talk through our first allergic reaction story. So of course it brought up those feelings and those thoughts, and it was a lot. It was a lot to process when you're writing about something that actually impacts you personally as well as professionally. Yeah.
How did your family react when you said you're going to write this book?
Well, true to the teenage fashion, I have two teenage boys, 16 and 18 right now. And so my 16-year-old, who's the one with the food allergy, said, do I get any royalties because you basically wrote this book and got into this work because of my diagnosis, which was
Wow.
hilarious. And I'm like, you're so funny. He's proud that I did this. My older son, he doesn't say as much about it, but I'll tell you, he went and saw it in the bookstore with a friend, and so he was proud. And of course, my husband is proud. Yeah, they were thrilled that I wrote this book because they felt like it was a resource that was missing. And they know that my goal is always to just be helping the community in any way, shape, or form I can.
And during your book launch, were there some interesting reactions that you observed in the audience? How do you process that, even as an author and a therapist and a mom, when you encounter those emotional, possibly reactions?
Yeah, I start to tear up. So as a therapist, we're very in tune with other people's emotions. And so when I'm talking with people, both at my book launch party, and then I was recently at a couple conferences where I had a table and was selling my book. And so people would come up and talk with me while they were getting a book signed, and they would tell me their stories. And of course, it tugs at my heart. And I'm human. And so I start to tear up, and I'm there with them, processing and sharing and connecting on all of this. And then, it's still really surreal when people are saying things like, oh my God, that's your book. I have people all over the world sending me pictures with the book, or, that they know about it. And it's still very, very, very surreal. Very like, what? Okay, I wrote a book.
It's amazing and it's so useful. And what I found particularly interesting is, especially in Australia, there is almost zero knowledge in terms of the allergist community of doctors about the importance of the psychosocial aspect. The US, I think, is a little bit better because of professionals like yourself, but still, I think it's a huge almost stigma for medical professionals to think about psychology. How do you bridge that gap in terms of talking to doctors like allergists or anyone, general practitioners dealing with families with food allergies, if they don't have any understanding? Like, where do we even start in that space?
Yeah, well, you're right about that. While we may have more over here, and even in the UK, we still are lacking in a lot of areas, right? And so some of that is that some allergists and allergy care practices are not really taking the time to explore the psychosocial impacts, asking questions on how people's quality of life are. Don't get me wrong, a lot are starting to do that, but there's still a gap. So I speak at the American College and the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology conferences because I'm an allied health member. And so at any given opportunity, I'm always encouraging clinicians and allergy care practices to just even simply, if they don't have time to do a validated screener out there to sort of formally assess food allergy, anxiety, or impacts, just ask a simple open-ended question like, how is living with a food allergy impacting your quality of life? Are you finding that living with this food allergy or the anxiety you might feel about it is keeping you back from doing things you want to, like traveling, like going out to eat? So simply broaching that question can open up the floodgates for families to feel comfortable and know they should be talking about it. On the same token, I encourage patients to be empowered and to bring those questions up to their allergist and allergy care team if they're not being asked them. But the problem, one huge problem is that, at least in the US, I don't know how it is over there, appointments are so quick. And there's so much to cover in such a short period of time that unfortunately sometimes this stuff gets left off unless the patient brings it up as sort of a sticky area that they need some support on. I will say, I'll put a plug in, a group of mental health professionals in allergy, including myself, just recently co-authored a paper through the Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, so Quad AI, or the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. Right now it's open access through the end of December, and it's in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology in Practice, and it's all about how to integrate mental health care into allergy practices, what we do, what our fields are, how to work with us everywhere from, research to clinical practice. So we are slowly but surely making inroads to making changes, hopefully worldwide with this, but it's a slow process.
I reckon everyone should download this paper while it's still available.
Well, it's still available. Yeah, I think it's like December 24th, like, right before Christmas, I think is when it goes behind the paywall. So I think I've linked to it in my newsletter. I've linked to it on social media stories. I'll probably try to link to it again. But yeah, I believe it's at least available through the link I have for the next month or so. Yeah.
And can we please tell our audience how can they access your book?
Yeah, so it's currently available in North America and next week in the UK in print. However, worldwide, it's going to be sold worldwide in English. I'm hoping for translated copies to come up through the grapevine over the years if there's enough interest. But people should be able to find the ebook or Kindle version and audiobook version already available across the world, I believe. So Amazon, I believe, will probably have the ebook version. Wherever you listen to audiobooks, you should be able to get that. I'm finding it popping up in libraries all over the world too, so it's possible it could pop up in a library there. The paperback copy will be available in Australia area from January 1st, and the hardcover a little bit later than that. But as of now, I think people should have access to the ebook and the audiobook wherever you find those, Amazon and elsewhere.
What a beautiful Christmas read, Christmas gift. So everyone,
yes, to yourself, to your family. Yes, absolutely.
And schools. Yeah. I think having
yes.
a school resource in this space would be fantastic.
And physicians, and especially if the allergists and allergy care clinics don't really quite understand or get that, this is a great read for them too, right? So it's a gift for all. What I'll say is it doesn't make anxiety completely go away, and nothing ever can, but it gives you a pathway to relate to this food allergy anxiety differently, so it's not driving the bus on your decisions in life, and that it helps you live the life you want to, even if you're feeling a little anxious about living with food allergies and parenting your child.
Tamara, it's been a great pleasure to have you on our podcast. We wish you all the best in your future work, and we cannot wait to speak again with you sometime next year.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.